We were frustrated, readers were frustrated about the debate around education. It had become very polarized, and people had stopped listening and stopped talking to each other, and they were really dug into their positions, and we needed to change that dynamic.
The Education Lab is a project that began in partnership with the Solutions Journalism Network in fall 2013 to take a solutions-oriented approach to much of our education coverage. And the idea was to see how that solutions-oriented approach could work in a daily newspaper and what impact it would have on readership, both expanding readership to new readers as well as deepening the relationship with our existing readers.
Instead of talking about what was wrong, we were able to apply the solutions model and ask our reporters to use all of their reporting skills, apply them to stories about education initiatives that showed promise and that were working, and then to ask the next question, which is, can that success be duplicated?
It was just really nice to have someone in here who was trying to understand what was working, because we never see that in education. As educators, of course, we're always focused on, okay, what's working, who's doing it, how's it worked, has it worked for this population? So we're always doing it, but in the big wide world, it's always so negative about what we're not doing.
I think that solution stories may be able to have more impact because they point the way, or they point a way. Solution stories provide a potential channel, a potential way to direct all that energy. I don't think confronting people starkly with their failures and beating them over the head with their failures is always the most efficient way to move the needle.
We've built up these partnerships with different groups, with teachers, with parents, and students, and kind of the different groups that represent each of those. And when we are organizing community events, we really rely on this network that we've established, because we learned pretty early on that we couldn't just rely on the Seattle Times brand to get the right people that we wanted to these events. You know, we wanted the teachers, we wanted the parents, we wanted the students, and we wanted an audience that wasn't perhaps what we traditionally serve through the paper or the Seattle Times website. So we wanted to get those people who might not be regular Seattle Times readers but are really entrenched in what's going on in the classroom.
The response that we've gotten from readers has been amazing. People are telling us that they're reading these stories, that these stories are making a difference, that they're engaged in a way that they hadn't been engaged before, and so why go back? We've got people talking in a way that they weren't talking before. Dialogues are happening that weren't happening before, and I think that we helped instigate that, and I want to keep that going.
My experience has been finger pointing, negative reports, low-hanging fruit, positive reports, or easy to reach access entry points for some of the reporting. I felt that with the new way of doing work, it was actually building relationships. So I can actually say that the EdLab reporters, I trust them, and I can actually see progress in the way people communicate about education, meaning that this is actually a school with something inside of it. So now we actually have programs inside there that may or may not working, or you know, we're going beyond the front door of the building.
If we're going to truly move the needle on these social issues, you ultimately need the broader community engaged in the issue and in the challenge. Journalism reaches the masses. This is part of, I think, how system change happens. What changes people's minds is good stories. The education labs are good stories and not puff pieces. We need really good journalism to move the needle on some social change issues.
These stories don't back away from the seriousness of the problems that do face public schools, but they also offer some hope. And I think people are hungry for that. And the feedback that we got after the first year from some of the community partners that we talked to at the beginning of the project, they just wanted more. They liked what they saw, and all they wanted was more.
I think if I did go back to what I would call a traditional approach, I would feel that something was missing. I think that I would miss it if I just stayed with the sort of traditional old way that we reported stories. And I think it probably will affect all my reporting going forward.
I was very skeptical when I first thought about solutions journalism. I thought, isn't that what we do every day? We tell the stories, we make the comments. But I've drank on the Kool-Aid. I've really become a believer, and I've seen how it's changed our newsroom's approach to things. I mean, we couldn't be more pleased with the results. And like I said, I was a little skeptical at first, but you know, in true respects, I mean, I think from informing the community, engaging the community piece, it's been phenomenal. But I think it's also really fostered a lot of change.